guys for coming today to the water panel. So I am over in natural resources management, where I do work on wetlands and wildlife, so that's what you're going to hear about today. I'm first going to tell you why wetlands should be important to you, and then I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I'm working on. Okay, so wetlands wetlands provide ecosystem services, and so these are goods and services we get out of the environment that we aren't always aware of. So wetlands are centers of productivity. You have lots of biodiversity, lots of plants and animals that you don't get necessarily other places. They also provide hydrologic buffering. So if you have wetlands associated with floodplains, they can really slow down those flashy floods that we see like on the Mississippi and so forth. And this also happens on the coastline where they block the storm surges coming in. And so what they're doing is they're slowing down the energy. And you have sediments dropping out of the water column. And you also have that biological productivity taking up those nutrients and sometimes contaminants and cleaning water. So you have clean water from these as well. And many of them are connected to the aquifer. So they're important in aquifer recharge, water that we really, really need. In addition to those, they're also very pretty. They're good places to go and relax and so forth. So they're important to all of us. Now, with that, I'm going to switch into what I do. I work on projects in wetlands all over the place, from Minnesota down through the Great Plains, West Texas, Chihuahuan Desert, Sonoran Desert. But I'm going to focus in on work that we've been doing in the Sonoran Desert most recently in terms of climate. Climate down here is going to be and is a big deal. Dr. Pearl had beautiful pictures of soil moisture, which covered a lot of Arizona, but a lot of the area that I'm working is solid rocks. There's actually no moisture in there. And this is precipitation, and these are the high emission scenarios. But we're going to have increases in temperature. And increases in temperature means that evaporation is going up, evapotranspiration is going up, there's less water. There's also less precipitation, which means there's less water. So what's that going to mean for the isolated desert waters, those places that I work? So these are things like springs, like tinajas, which are rock bottom plunge pools, erosional pools, charcos, which are little depressions that keep water for very, very short periods of time, and then catchments. These are what land managers put in to support wildlife, and in some areas livestock as well. These are structurally very different from the others, but they're put out there to provide water longer term if other sources dry up. And lots of things use these waters. Everything from undocumented immigrants and drug runners to mountain lions to mule deer to golden eagles, and my favorites are the amphibians. That's what they're very cute. Okay, so what my goal is to look for, or how is climate change influencing both the quality and quantity of that water, and then what can we do to better manage these waters? So my lab is looking at a whole bunch of different questions. For example, we've modeled and projected hydro period with climate change. So how often are land managers going to have to start hauling water out? And they do haul water out, and they spend a lot of money hauling water. And this is only going to go up. We've given them tools for finding previously unidentified waters. We're also looking at how wildlife actually use those waters. What's important about the landscape around it, and what's important about how they're responding to weather. The reason this is important is because then you can look in the future and predict how they're going to respond to more water shortages. We're looking at if desert wildlife can assess water quality, and the short answer is no. But what does that mean for populations? Is that actually a real issue down there or not? And then in collaboration with Dr. Nancy McIntyre, we've been providing and working on plans, which Joe Drake up there has done, looking at connectivity of water sites for desirable species. So this is how these water sites are used and how species can move back and forth between them, things like amphibians or mule deer. and how we can plan for that now and in the future so we have that connectedness, we have those healthy populations, but we're excluding invasive species that we don't want to get in there. So my overall goal in my lab is to come up with tools and to give information to land managers so that they are better able to manage their wetlands for wildlife. And next person.